Hello everybody and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. I have a couple of topics I want to cover today, and the first one is about resveratrol and wine drinking. Resveratrol is a polyphenol that is found in grapes and red wine and dark chocolate, things most people love. Because resveratrol has shown both antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties in both animal studies and in vitro studies, it's been promoted as this magical nutrient that can prevent heart disease and extend life. Several health gurus have actually suggested that people take up wine drinking as a way to promote health. And one book that I recently read, the expert, and I'm using quotes there to tell you what I think of this person, suggested drinking wine daily, but you have to take resveratrol supplements in addition to that because you just can't get enough resveratrol from one glass of wine. So the problem is that studies just have not shown resveratrol to be quite as beneficial as many claim. Long-term research on elderly people in Tuscany, Italy, show that resveratrol doesn't reduce the risk of heart attack or cancer and does not lead to extended life. So how this was all done, this was part of the Aging in the Chianti region study, and researchers reanalyzed urine samples that were taken from participants who were an average of 65 years of age or older. The samples were evaluated for resveratrol intake by quantifying metabolites in the urine samples. After 9 years and a lot of adjustments for things like age and sex and body mass index and lipid levels, the researchers determined that urinary resveratrol concentration was not related to mortality, did not reduce mortality risk. Now what the researchers did is they divided the participants into categories of resveratrol concentration ranging from lowest to highest, and they found that the incidence of cardiovascular disease was, I'm going to read these numbers off to you because I think they're important, 22.3%, 29.6%, 28.4%, and 28%. In other words, those who had higher resveratrol concentrations in their urine actually had higher risk of cardiovascular disease. This is exactly the opposite of what a lot of the health gurus are saying today. The researchers also reported that there was no protective effect for cancer and no association in terms of reducing inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, tissue necrosis factor, or interleukin-6. Now, it's very difficult to quantify how much wine sales have been affected by people who took up wine drinking because they've been told it's a health-promoting activity. But we know that resveratrol pills generate about $30 million in annual sales in the United States, but studies haven't shown these supplements to be valuable. And you might remember a few years ago I covered a scandal, which was a massive fraud that had been committed by one of the researchers that the industry relied on a lot for their claims about the benefits of resveratrol. The story was this Dr. Deepak Das at the University of Connecticut was found guilty of 145 counts of making up data. He was fired and then he countersued the university and he died last year before anything came of it, but really a lot of the research that had been used to support resveratrol was discredited because of this whole episode. Now, what does this mean to consumers? What am I really saying to you here? My advice continues to be that wine is a treat to be enjoyed occasionally. You don't get health benefits from drinking alcohol. You don't get health benefits from eating birthday cake. These are things that give us pleasure that we do for special occasions. So that's why they get relegated to treat status. So you don't need to take resveratrol pills, and you don't need to take up wine drinking. In fact, I advise against regular drinking of alcohol because it is not a health-promoting activity. All right, so while we're on the subject of dietary supplements and false information, many national surveys have reported that most of the United States population uses complementary and alternative care or approaches to health care. We'll call it CAM for complementary and alternative medicine from here on out. And these data are then used to try to justify legitimizing a lot of CAM practices, demanding reimbursement. And there are a lot of issues, and some of them include lack of evidence of efficacy for a lot of these practices, lack of defined qualifications and scope of practice for practitioners, and we somehow have to figure that out at some point in time, and even defining what some of these practices are. Now, the formal definition, if you go online and you just look up the definition for complementary and alternative medicine practices, is healthcare products and services that are not considered part of conventional medicine, and while some are provided by healthcare professionals, are predominantly administered through self-care. That's the formal definition. Now, according to a new survey, the most commonly used CAM practice is taking dietary supplements. More than twice as many adults take dietary supplements as any other approach to alternative health care. The other most commonly used modalities are chiropractic and osteopathic manipulation, yoga, massage therapy, meditation, and special diets. Now, this just upsets me so much I can't tell you. The percentage of people using special diets as a form of therapy is only 3%. The report was issued by the Centers for Disease Control, and it's disturbing. And one of the reasons is we're still talking about food and diet as if it's some type of alternative medicine. And one of my goals, and I hope I can see this happen before I leave this planet, is to see dietary intervention as the traditional approach and drugs and surgery as the alternative. I mean, we just have this backwards and we got to figure this out. Second, only 3% of the population reports using diet to improve their health or to maintain health. The term used in this survey was special diets, which means that almost any type of diet could be included. Mediterranean, vegetarian, vegan, we all know that can mean a lot of different things, calorie control, etc. We know based on sales figures from groups like Weight Watchers that most of the country is trying to do something in the way of eating differently for many reasons, but the reality is that the perception on behalf of the general population, and I would contend still most healthcare professionals, is people don't see food as medicine, and that's another thing that we have to change. Another problem we have is that there's not an acknowledgement that there actually is a right diet for humans, even though there's a lot of evidence that supports that that's the case. Third, the report shows what strong marketing campaigns and aggressive lobbying can do for an industry. There's little evidence to support the use of dietary supplements for health improvement. I mean, what I just covered in the Resveratrol thing is a good example. Yet this industry has the biggest share of the CAM market. And I don't blame the industry. These companies have just smartly taken advantage of the government's misbehavior, which has led to the loosening of laws about claims you can make and crazy Byzantine rules administered by the FDA and the FTC about health claims and supplement sales. What we can conclude from these miserable data is it's no surprise that Americans aren't healthier. They're pursuing strategies that don't have a whole lot of chance of helping them. But what we can also conclude is we have one incredible opportunity to provide a solution for a problem that's getting bigger, not smaller, if we're smart enough to organize and take advantage of it. And I've always said, just give me a year with the lobbyists and strategists and marketing people who work for the drug companies and the supplement companies and the device makers, and oh my gosh, could we take this idea of diet and lifestyle factors as a way to improve health to a whole new level. Well, I don't think any of them have much interest in becoming allied with me or the Wellness Forum, but maybe we could learn a little bit about how to package ourselves up and market us in ways that make us more attractive to the general population. So anyway, those are my reports for the week. That's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you again next Tuesday with more news.